Chaotic, hilarious, brutal, like being trapped in a malfunctioning business conference call. From hell. I love it. Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I want to talk about my third favorite novel, J.R. by William Gaddis. I have read this book 3 times while listening to the audiobook, narrated by Nick Sullivan. Nick Sullivan is a magnificent narrator for this novel. Even though I said it is my third favorite novel, I very well understand that a lot of people are not going to get along with this novel. This is not going to be a critical analysis video. There are some booktubers who can hold up their third favorite novel and talk for 45 minutes, talk for an hour, pretend that they are a college professor, and give you all the little insights that you can ferret out of this novel. This is not going to be one of those kinds of videos. This is just me telling you a little bit about this novel and why I love it and why maybe you want to give it a shot yourself. I recently reread this book over the fall with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. He has read this novel twice. There were a few other people initially participating in the group read, but they dropped out. This novel is very difficult. But before I get into the novel, let me tell you in a nutshell who Gaddis is. He was an American postmodern novelist from 1922 to 1989. He published only 5 novels, each dense, layered, and structurally ambitious. He was obsessed with American capitalism, fraud, art, law, technology, failure, voices overlapping in the chaos of modern life. Revered by modern academics and hardcore readers, but barely known to general audiences. Often compared with Pynchon, DeLillo, and Gass. But Gaddis is a sharper, angrier, funnier, and more structurally rigorous. He is the writer you go to when you want the real thing, not a watered-down postmodernist imitator. As I said, William Gaddis only published 5 novels. There was The Recognitions from 1955, about forgery, authenticity, religion, art, and selling out. There are long encyclopedia-like sections, very elusive, like a proto-Pynchon or a post-Joyce. Number 2 was J.R. from 1975. Almost entirely in unattributed dialogue, follows an 11-year-old boy who builds a paper financial empire from a payphone. Wild, chaotic, brutally funny, an attack on American capitalism and corporate culture. Number 3, Carpenter's Gothic from 1985. A shorter, more claustrophobic domestic drama with geopolitics, religion, and business dealings swirling around a single house. His 4th book, A Frolic of His Own from 1984, about law, litigation, characters consistently suing each other. The famous opening line, "You get justice in the next world." In this one, you have the law. I have not read A Frolic of His Own yet. I have to get to it someday. His 5th and last book, Agape Agape, published in 2002, posthumously. A short monologue essay novel about player pianos, mechanization of art, and cultural decline. Another one that I have not read yet. Let me talk a little bit about the novel J.R. It focuses on J.R. Van Zandt, an 11-year-old schoolboy who accidentally builds a vast corporate empire through junk bonds, mail-order schemes, and business loopholes. He is brilliant in a feral, opportunistic way, pure American capitalism as a child. Then there is Edward Bast, a failed composer and overwhelmed music teacher at J.R.'s school. He is dragged against his will into becoming the public face of the JR Corporation. Essentially, the emotional center of this novel, a talented man crushed by systems he can't navigate. Now, there are a whole lot, and I mean a whole lot, of other characters in JR. They include Jack Gibbs, a gruff, brilliant, disorganized writer who's sort of a little bit of William Gaddis himself. There is Mr. Cohen, a lawyer. There is Mrs. Joubert, a teacher at JR School, who tries to teach the JR that there is something beyond capitalism. And there are many other characters as well. I will not go into them in this short video. As I said, this is not a lecture, but Edward Bast and JR are the emotional core of this novel. And through these two characters, you get to see William Gaddis skewer capitalism. William Gaddis, if I'm not mistaken, worked at a corporation as a copy ad writer or doing some sort of business writing and absolutely loathed his job. And he got to see corporate culture up front and personal. While this book was published in 1975, there is some internal evidence that the story takes place someplace in the late 50s or sometime during the 60s when William Gaddis would have been writing this book. But what makes this book important to me is that capitalism has always been the same. You can see the loopholes and schemes that J.R. Vincent, how he creates this false business empire. And these false business empires are being created by many businessmen alive today in the 2020s. This is why America is failing. We have this corporate culture that worships just the acquisition of money and not even producing anything when you acquire money. That is the importance of this novel. Now, this novel is told in unattributed dialogue. There are no chapter breaks. There are no indications when a scene changes. You just have to understand that a scene has changed. So you have to read this novel very closely. And for that, as I said, listening to the audiobook while you're listening or reading this novel helped me immensely. If I had just read the text of this book alone, I might have gotten frustrated. I might have put down this novel and gone away disappointed. I'm very grateful that Nick Sullivan narrated the audiobook version of his text because he does an excellent job with the voices. He does not over narrate the book. There are just subtle changes when the narrators change, and that really helps. It also helps that I read this book very slowly, sort of as a daily meditation. I would read maybe 12, maybe 20 pages a day whenever a scene changed, and then put the book aside and pick it up the next day. I did that the first time I read this book in 2022, and when I read it again in 2025. I reread it for the third time in 2025. And that's the way I think this book should be read. Slowly, deliberately. Let the scenes just seep into your mind. There are such wonderful, brilliant scenes with the characters. One of them involved Jack Gibbs, speaking only German to the conductor who is trying to collect a ticket. And here is Jack Gibbs handing him a child's ticket. Don't get into the details. Jack Gibbs has a child's ticket and he's handing it to the conductor, pretending that he does not understand English and only knows German. Absolutely hilarious. And then there is a scene very close to the end of the book where one of the main characters is in the hospital and another character is reading newspaper articles. And each of these articles is describing the fate of the other characters in this book. Brilliant way to wrap up plot lines, but very atypical. And then there is a great scene between J.R. and Edward Bast. It is a cold, rainy night in New York City. Edward Bast is a music teacher, and he's trying to teach J.R. something. He's trying to get him to appreciate music, that there is something beyond capitalism and acquiring music. So Bass has a cassette tape of Bach's Cantata 21, and he says, JR, just listen to this music. Tell me what you hear. Tell me what you feel. And JR spoils everything. JR misinterprets the German singing as a woman saying, up yours, and the male responding, up mine. And as Edward Bass says, JR, you've ruined this brilliant and beautiful piece of music. And it is a hilarious scene. I am going to provide a link to that piece of cantata in the description of this video. I would play it for you, but that would be a copyright violation. So you'll have to go to the link in the video and listen to it. But I love JR. I love its skewer of capitalism. And Americans, we need skewer capitalism. We need to go beyond this corporate culture that we seem to idolize, like JR idolizes the acquisition of business and money. We need to learn more. We need to be a little more like Amy Joubert, trying to teach JR that there is beauty in a sunset. Or Edward Bass trying to teach JR there is beauty in Bach's cantatas. So read JR if you can, whatever way you can. I love this book. Will I read it a fourth time in my life? I probably will. Thank you for watching and keep on reading.